According to my analytics, you guys really like it when I complain. Lucky for you, the internet is full of people making me lose faith in humanity, and where else am I gonna bitch about them? Alright, you've seen the title of the video, and undoubtedly you've seen it plastered all over comment sections. I too have been seeing this very original joke for months, and every time I do, it chips away a bit of my sanity. In case you're blessed enough to not know what I'm talking about, men will comment the word women with a coffee emoji next to it under videos of a woman doing something shallow, vain, or committing the ultimate sin of making a mistake. And before I get attacked, yes, I know this isn't all men. Not that the people doing this have any problem with generalizations. From what I can tell, this meme originated from a Team Fortress clip, but the misogyny behind it probably came from their fathers. The comments themselves may seem harmless, but the implications of demonizing and not taking women seriously have a ripple effect, and I'm going to demonstrate that in this video by linking a not very serious issue to the wider scope of how women are impacted, and some of my responses are going to seem out of proportion. Right off the bat, if you're one of those people who claim men and women are equal, you're not gonna like this video. As a cis woman, I can tell you, even from my relatively short life experience, that's not true. There are countless ways that women are oppressed in modern society, from casual language, media representation, higher murder or sexual assault rates, lack of research into women's health, and the remaining existence of the glass ceiling and gender pay gap, despite what the law has tried to fix. Obviously, we've made progress. I'm glad I won't be burnt as a witch anymore for being able to do basic maths, but we've still got a way to go. If you still don't believe this, I implore you to do your own research on feminist issues. If you're still sexist after that, fuck you, I guess, for not believing women. Without further ado, let's look at the Instagram reel that finally pushed me to make this video, and this is starting off pretty tame. It's these two girls joking about how they accidentally wore standing jeans to a sitting bar. Men in the comments were mostly confused by this statement, which is understandable, so as a qualified woman, I will explain. Basically, when you wear high-waisted or skinny jeans specifically, because they're so tight around the waist, sometimes they can be uncomfortable to sit down in for long periods of time, especially if you're eating a meal or something because your stomach is expanding. That is literally it. But of course, this was taken to be the peak example of why women are stupid and how ridiculous they are to get into these situations. I was pretty pissed at all the women commenters, so I thought I'd be equally passive-aggressive back to one of them, saying, "Sexists." Just the most clever comeback anyone has ever written, actually. I don't know what I expected to happen, but of course I got called a snowflake and a woman with even more coffee. I found this quite funny, actually. He probably thought he was making a great point there, really profound. Maybe he expected me to be like, oh fuck, he used more emojis than I did. How do I compete? I will never be such a master debater. And let's face it, with that knowledge, I bet he's a master baiter too. Anyways, I wasn't gonna go down with that fight and hopefully force some critical thought into these commenters, so I replied with, men when something a bit silly happens because of the fashion and beauty standards that they made to oppress women. Because that's the point that all these men walk straight past. Why is it that clothes are made for women that aren't comfortable to be lived in, and why is this so normal that I know exactly what they're talking about? But it's not just about comfort. I definitely know the fear of sitting down in high-waisted jeans and feeling my muffin top slowly spill out. And I do use the word fear because this female beauty standard of being unrealistically thin has been pushed down every girl's throat from such a young age. Animation and media representation is a good example of this, and then later the diet industry. As a cis woman, I can speak to the reality of this. Of course, we can't ignore that men are also subject to beauty standards, although they've been proven overall to be less affected. But the big difference is that female beauty standards actively oppress women. For example, I went down the lists of the largest 50 fashion and diet industries in the world, and none of them are owned or ran by women. The only exception I could find to this was the CEO of Chanel, but she was only appointed this year, so I don't think we can blame her for all of society's problems. Oh, and guess what? The chairman and primary shareholder is still a man, so this shows that women as a whole are both the ones suffering the most from the beauty standards, and unlike men, aren't the ones profiting off of them. But still, according to these comments, women oppress themselves. which also demonstrates the mindset and ideals behind the initially harmless seeming women comments. If all the sexists are saying the same thing, then that thing has sexist connotations. You'll notice so far that I've avoided talking about makeup, and that's because I thought wearing makeup wasn't relevant to tight jeans, but I was wrong because apparently my argument makes me the type of person to wear makeup for themselves, which was obviously meant to be an insult, but I do not care about this man's opinion, and instead I'm gonna use it to segue into the complicated relationship between makeup and feminism. For the past century, I'd say makeup has been a stereotypically feminine product and has been marketed as such. This makes it a feminist issue, as said marketing often works in the typical capitalist way of creating a problem and then selling you the solution. This is best demonstrated by vintage makeup ads, where the selling point is, with this lipstick, you'll finally be beautiful. Beautiful enough to get a man. What else would you need to look good for? So not only is this profiting off of women's insecurities, it solidifies this ideal of a woman's only goal in life being to get men's attention and creates the narrative that that's all makeup's for. An obvious counterpoint to this is that these ads came out decades ago, but this notion has unfortunately stood the test of time. I mean, look at any alpha male podcast. Those could be their own fucking video. So because of this, there are quite a few feminists who are anti-makeup, but many of us would argue the other way. I personally am against a lot of the ways makeup is advertised still, specifically the heavy use of Photoshop in beauty marketing, but I fully support any woman who wants to wear makeup, because feminism is about empowering women and letting them make their own decisions to make them feel good about themselves, express themselves in a creative way, or just make their eyelids match the fit. It's fine for anyone to wear makeup, including men. Honestly, I don't know why more men don't use concealer. That shit makes me so much more confident when my skin is just crying, which may or may not be right now, but I want people to be doing it for themselves, not trying to get digitally enhanced smooth skin, or because they have to be viewed as professional. That's right, something so trivial as putting pigment on your face affects how you're viewed in the workplace now. When researching for this video, I found a Forbes article discussing the link between beauty and the gender gap, explaining how the pressure for women to pursue beauty is higher when people think that they have a shot at equality. I didn't know this, and it's insane to me. I mean, it makes complete sense under the patriarchy, because of course, why would women be allowed to succeed? It's really sad. This creates the double beauty bind. As a woman, using makeup supports the companies that profit off your insecurities, but not using it can limit your progression in your career and professional life. So either way, women are losing out. Relating this back to the internet, it's kind of similar to how men mock women who wear makeup or go on silly diets, but then also make fun of women who don't look conventionally attractive without makeup, or weigh more without dieting because of genetics. Which is funny because a lot of the sexist arguments that make men better than women are based on biology, because men naturally have more muscle mass, so how can women possibly do anything that requires manual labor? There's no sort of way that they could train to become stronger. I disagree with this as a cis woman who goes to the fucking gym. Back to the actual point, despite their genetic argument, these people can't grasp that everyone's body is different, so they will look that way. This isn't even specifically related to this post, but it's one of the most common forms of casual misogyny, so I thought it was worth mentioning. Anyway, I've spoken so much about a TikTok that wasn't itself even misogynistic, but of course the comments section had to pollute it simply because it was made by a woman. We all have an uncle who'll unbutton his jeans after a Christmas or Thanksgiving meal, and if a guy made a joke about having standing jeans, some of the comments might still have been confused, but I guarantee you it wouldn't have been made a gendered insult. On to some more blatant posts now, so I'm going to be talking less in depth since they know what they're doing. But all the stuff I said before still applies, and more, because obviously the comments section is overrun by the same women jokes. So this one I found on Instagram, and I'll just show you. This video is so strange to me because once again they are walking straight past the point. Firstly, if you watch the whole clip of Cher answering the question, she's talking about how women have the capability to do whatever they want and shouldn't be told they need to marry a man to succeed, which is a great sentiment. And on the other hand, she mentions how women shouldn't hold men to overly high expectations. So if men saw the whole context, they would likely agree. But no, let's throw that all out the window because feminists hate men. The latter half of this video is just flexing a bunch of men's inventions throughout history, which is strange in and of itself because people that did this, they already have all the bragging rights. People have we know. I can't believe women never invented anything. Surely this has nothing to do with the fact that they were legally not allowed in education. I can't believe they didn't use their zero science skills to invent things. Even that isn't true. Female inventors have made so many useful discoveries, probably more than we know of, since male scientists notoriously don't credit women's contributions. Einstein. But to give a few examples, all of these things were invented by women. Circular saws, computer algorithms, dishwashers, globes, central heating, refrigerators, life rafts, fire escapes, car heaters, syringes, street sweepers, windshield wipers, antifungal medication, computer software, and bulletproof vests. So maybe let's stop trying to diminish women's accomplishments and imply they aren't useful to the world of scientific discoveries, because last time I checked, it's not the 1800s anymore. Okay, next up we got this TikTok of a guy going up to strangers and offering them his hand for a handshake. The bench full of men all shake his hand, but the women don't. Boo, women, mean and bad. Now, if you are someone thinking that this is proof of women being rude or bitchy, which I swear to God, men have got to stop saying, but if you think that, please take a moment right now and rub two brain cells together. Why would women not be as trusting to a man that they don't know coming up to them in public? Any ideas as why they wouldn't feel as safe? I'm gonna leave you to mull that over. This part wasn't even in the script, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway because my friend brought it up the other day. Last month, November, was Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I saw multiple TikToks of men being like, why aren't women talking about this issue? I've seen no women talking about this. Lots of women replied to this, outraged, as they should be, because women do talk about men's mental health all the time. In fact, one of the main contributors to poor men's mental health is toxic masculinity, which comes from the patriarchy. And the patriarchy is specifically what feminism is against and what women have been fighting for years. But another thing about this TikTok is the whole month of November, I hadn't seen any men actually talking about Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I'd just seen men complaining about how women weren't talking about it. And why would you suddenly care what women have to say? When have men ever cared what women have to say? And general mental health causes help men as well, which is something that they tend to overlook and just focus on men's mental health or bring it up as a counterpoint in feminist arguments. That's a thing they love to do.
Why would you say my life is privileged?
For one, you're a man.
You know, most people commit suicide are men. Most people who work in dangerous workplaces are men. Most people who fight in war are men.
And who set that system up?
In hindsight, I probably should have scripted that last bit because I am heated and I will continue to get more so in this last portion. Lastly, is probably one of sexists' favourite things to shit on, women's sports. This particular compilation of women making mistakes while playing football or soccer has been plaguing my For You page repeatedly, and I am so sick of it being a conversation. Just let women play sports and leave them alone. I don't care if they play it differently to men, which they do, actually. To be fair, they play less violently and they fake less injuries, which is why when they play against men, admittedly, they often lose because they're playing the sport differently. Not that that should even matter because they are playing women's football. They are training to compete against each other. Even if it was a matter of skill, maybe that comes from the fact that women have less opportunity to play football or are discouraged from doing so due to the lad culture surrounding it. But it shouldn't matter. Leave them alone. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it, but don't go out of your way to find the time these women mess up to build your bullshit argument. Which brings me back to my point. Never has this been done to men. Lots of women don't enjoy watching sports, especially football. This includes me because they are just kicking a ball around and I don't find it very interesting, nor do I find it particularly impressive. But I don't make or share compilations of male footballers screwing up and say, look guys, men are stupid. Men deem it acceptable to mock any interest women have, even if it's stereotypically masculine. More so because how dare they? There's a famous question of what can a teenage girl enjoy without being made fun of by men? And of course, the answer is nothing. Also, when you Google top goal scorers for football, none of the women's results are shown. So it says that the top international goal scorer is Ronaldo, which just isn't true. He's actually 8th on the list, which just sucks because that's another way that men are seen as like the default gender. Also, if you didn't hate fans of male football enough, then during major football tournaments, domestic abuse against women and children increases by 38% when a team loses and 26% when it wins. They can't even enjoy the win without it negatively affecting women. Are you kidding me? That's pretty much all I have to say in today's video. I'm sorry, we kind of lost the the lighthearted vibes near the end there. I probably won't make another video as serious as this. I'm usually a lot more chill, but this casual on misogyny sucks so bad, and I don't even think people realize the severity of the implications that it has. If anything I've said interested or surprised you, then please read some actual feminist literature and studies, because there are academics that spend their whole lives researching these issues, and it's important to support and listen to these women. Once again, sorry if this video wasn't the normal vibe or what you were expecting. I'm going to be going back to some goofier stuff that I got coming up. And thank you so much for 200 subscribers. That's really cool. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. Have a great rest of your evening, morning, night, whatever time it is for you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!